when I went to pick up our wedding rings, I discovered a secret my fiancé had kept for years. He had ordered a matching set, but he had given the one symbolizing the only true love to another woman. I stroked the snowflake-shaped diamond ring in my hand and quietly canceled the wedding. Then I sent him a special gift. When I went to the store to pick up the rings, I subconsciously gave them Sebastian's phone number. The sales associate brought the ring to me, smiled sweetly, and said, "Congratulations on your upcoming wedding." I smiled and took it, but the next moment, her words hit me like a ton of bricks. "This ring symbolizes the only true love. The designer stipulated that no matter who orders it, it must be registered with a real name, and only one can be made in a lifetime. So, Mr. Xia specifically instructed us to tell you this when Miss Lin came to pick it up." Before she could finish, I looked up and interrupted her. "What did you just call me?" The sales associate looked confused and hesitated. "Aren't you Miss Amelia?" At her words, I felt as if I had been plunged into an ice cellar. My blood froze. How could I, Harper, be Amelia? I remembered that Amelia was Sebastian's high school classmate. Just then, my phone buzzed with a new message. "Husband, forgot to tell you. The rings are at the second branch of the store. I left your number. You can just go and pick them up." I looked down at the ring in my hand. The style and the size were different from what he had shown me. When we were designing the rings, I had wanted this one, but he had frowned and said, "You're a grown woman. You still believe in this stuff." He had said he didn't like anything flashy, and since he had to meet clients often, even though the men's version was simpler, it was still more eye-catching than a classic band. He said it wasn't suitable, but what he had said was not suitable. He had turned around and ordered for someone else, so he did believe in it. He just didn't believe that I was his one true love. When Sebastian came home that night, he saw me sitting on the sofa in silence and asked, "What's wrong? Is the ring the wrong size?" I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to scream at him. Finally, I looked him in the eye and said, "It's a perfect fit." He said nothing, just stared at his phone, a look of pure joy on his face. He had even forgotten that rings come in pairs. He didn't even ask about the other one, let alone try it on. Perhaps he didn't care at all. A moment later, he sat down next to me and, as usual, put his arm around my shoulder. I stiffened, but he didn't notice. "I'm going to Hong Kong for a week on a business trip the day after tomorrow. The branch office there needs me. Is there anything you want me to bring back for you?" I lowered my gaze, fighting the urge to push him away. I remembered what I had seen in his study that afternoon. A wave of bitter humiliation washed over me. That box was filled with a lifetime of his love for another woman. When we had first started dating, I had seen that box. We had moved 3 times since then, and he had always taken it with him. Once, I had curiously asked what was inside, but he had just grinned and said, "You have me. Can't I have my own private things?" His tone was so flirtatious, his eyes so playful, that my mind had immediately gone to a different place. My first thought was that it was his manly treasures, as he had called them. After that, I had put my curiosity aside and had never doubted him. But when I opened it today, I saw that it was filled with letters and objects that tore my heart out. It was indeed his treasure, a secret he had kept for many years. My thoughts were interrupted by his phone ringing. He smiled at me and said he had to take a call. He even went out of his way to say it was his childhood friend, David. But I had just glanced at the screen. The name started with Lin. Perhaps he had never realized that when he was nervous, he would unconsciously press his index finger under his thumb. Not to mention the fact that he had gone out of his way to explain. David had called before, and he had always answered in front of me. Not like now, sneaking off to the study. That afternoon, I had been thinking, when had he started to act so strangely? It seemed to have started 3 months ago. He had become increasingly hard to reach. He wouldn't answer his phone. He wouldn't reply to texts right away. And sometimes he would even stay out all night. At the time, I had thought it was normal for him to be busy after taking over the company. But now I see that he was busy. But he was also busy with someone else. Amelia was an illustrator. After some searching, I found her social media. I scrolled through her recent posts and, in a post from 2 months ago, I saw something. It was 2 selfies of her in a car. But the car's interior was all too familiar. Because it was his car. I couldn't have been mistaken about the ornament hanging from the rearview mirror. I had had it custom made. He had hung it up as soon as he got his new car 6 months ago. But 3 months ago, It had suddenly disappeared. I had asked him about it, and he had said it had been accidentally broken at the car wash, so he had replaced it. But he hadn't told me that the new ornament was designed and made by Amelia herself. So his recent changes were not a coincidence. Perhaps I should have suspected something when I had started to smell the same perfume on him over and over. Don't worry, I'm on my way. I stood outside the study and, through the ajar door, I saw the gentle, loving expression on his face as he spoke in a low voice. Honey, David has something on. I have to go out. Don't wait up for me. He didn't wait for my reply and rushed to the door. Is something wrong? I can go with you, I said suddenly. He froze, turning his head but not daring to look me in the eye. I can go by myself. It's so cold outside, and you've had a long day. In the past, I would have been touched by his thoughtfulness, but now, it was just a cover for him to go and see another woman. They say that when a man starts to lie, 99% of the time, it's because of a woman. It's true. I followed his car out of the complex and to a residential building just 2 streets away. The security in this complex was notoriously strict. Strangers were not allowed in, but his car drove right in, and the security guard even greeted him. I suddenly remembered seeing a large purchase on his bank statement last month. I had asked him about it, and he had just said it was for the company. But now I had to wonder if he had used that money to buy a house, or to buy a house for her. And so close to our own home. A short while later, I saw him drive out of the complex and head to a nearby hospital. In the parking lot, I saw him carefully lift her into his arms. Her delicate hand was wrapped around his neck. I don't know what she said to him, but he touched his forehead to hers and murmured some words of comfort. I sat in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel. I remembered last week when I had a fever and had called him to take me to the hospital. But he had said he was busy and had sent his assistant instead. He hadn't even shown up until after my fever had gone down. But now, just one word from her, and he had come running. And even though we were about to get married, he wasn't even trying to be discreet. Well, of course. She was the one he had loved and lost, the one he had been longing for. He said he was going to Hong Kong for a week on a business trip. But he had completely forgotten that we were supposed to have our wedding photos taken the day after tomorrow. He hadn't even noticed that I hadn't answered his question. So, yeah, this marriage really isn't happening. After a while, I opened my phone and sent a message. As expected, Sebastian didn't come home that night. In the past, whenever he had a social event or was out with friends, he would always let me know, no matter how late, because he knew I would worry if I couldn't reach him. He had said that seeing me worry hurt him, and he would never let me be unable to find him. Looking back now, the more beautiful the past, the more ironic the present. So even though he was out all night, he didn't say anything, and I didn't ask. I wasn't from this city. I had few friends here, and I had lost touch with my relatives years ago. And besides him, no one in his family welcomed me. Even the wedding we had set 4 months ago, his mother had announced in her social circle that no one from his family would be attending. So, to spare him any trouble, I had taken on all the wedding planning myself. So, canceling the wedding was not a difficult matter. I called all the invited friends and colleagues, not to cancel, but to say the date had been changed. The hotel said the deposit was non-refundable. I said it was fine. I didn't even want the man anymore. Why would I care about a little money? I had come to this city alone. A stranger with no family. It was because he had said that wherever he was, that was my home. And, because of that, I had put down my roots here. But now, overnight, the city I had grown to love had become a strange and alien place. Just like when I had first come here with him. Looking at the towering skyscrapers, my eyes were full of a stranger's apprehension. With no sense of familiarity, I was packing when he came home. The first thing he did was take a shower. Not even going into the master bedroom, but heading straight for the guest bathroom. When he came out, he explained that he had gotten drunk with David and the others and had slept at a club. I didn't care. I just continued with my packing. What a lame excuse. Did the club not have a bathroom? He had to come home to shower. He was just trying to wash off the scent of another woman. He toweled his hair and said casually, "It's David's birthday tonight. He's invited everyone out. You should come with me." I replied calmly, "I can't. I have plans with a friend." At my words, he suddenly raised his voice. "Can't you reschedule? I've already told them you're coming. How am I supposed to explain this now? I threw the clothes I was holding down. Did you ask me first? A moment of silence. Then the towel was thrown to the floor, and he slammed the door on his way out. That night, I had dinner with my best friend, Olivia. She asked why the wedding was canceled. I took a sip of juice. He's back with his old flame. We're not compatible. She looked at me in shock. But you've been together for 8 years. You can't just let him go. If a person's heart is not with you, why hold on? 8 years. So what? He had just turned around and put someone else in his heart. In the years after graduation, I had helped him gain a foothold in his family's company, step by step, until he became the head of the family. His family didn't like me, but I didn't care, as long as he did. He had sworn more than once that he would never betray me, but in the end, he had broken his promise. I told her about the ring. She was so angry she wanted to take me to a club to party. But as soon as we sat down, we heard a commotion. I followed the sound and saw a scene that made me sick. A man and a woman were kissing passionately. The man's strong arms were wrapped around the woman's waist, and she was leaning against him, her fair hands clutching his black shirt. The atmosphere was electric, the scene completely out of control. The people around them were whistling and cheering. Sebastian, you're a real player. You're so lucky. You've got Amelia all flustered. Her delicate face was flushed. He carefully held her in his arms and shot them a warning look. He whispered something in her ear, and she playfully punched him. He laughed even harder. But the moment he turned his head, he saw me. Our eyes met for a second, and the color drained from his face. He shot to his feet, letting go of her. She didn't understand. Until she saw me. She stood there, looking pitiful, but her eyes were full of provocation. I walked towards them, step by step. David and the others finally saw me. He came over to mediate. Harper, we were just playing a game. He lost, and we were just teasing him. Don't be angry. I looked at her. He subconsciously pulled her behind him, his tone impatient. You said you were busy. What are you doing here? I almost laughed at his audacity. I looked at him coldly. If I hadn't come, you could have continued to kiss and hold another woman without a care in the world. Sebastian, what do you take me for? He said nothing, but the woman behind him spoke. She stepped out from behind him and stood beside him. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. They looked like a perfect match, if you ignored the fact that her hand was on his waist. Miss Chiao, Sebastian and I were just playing a game. You're not that uptight, are you? With that, she deliberately showed off the ring on her hand. It was the one from yesterday, the one that symbolized true love. She was not only declaring her sovereignty, but also openly slapping me in the face, telling me that she was the one he truly loved. I said nothing, but Olivia stepped forward and slapped her across the face. I've seen my share of green tea bitches, but you're a special kind of vile. She was stunned. Tears welled up in her eyes, making her look even more pitiful. He rushed forward, but I blocked his way. He pointed at me, furious. Harper, what are you doing? Your friend just hit someone. Smack. Before he could finish, I slapped him. Everyone, including him, was shocked. He gritted his teeth. Harper, are you fucking crazy? I smiled, my voice full of scorn. Sebastian, you should be happy to have the person you've cherished for so many years, right? At my words, his eyes widened, and a wave of anger washed over him. Did you go through my things? Harper, do you have any respect for other people's privacy? I scoffed. Privacy. Your privacy is to cheat on me with another woman. Then I looked at her. Right. You little homewrecker. He was clearly stung. He grabbed me and said sharply, Harper, what are you talking about? You apologize to her right now. I shook him off. You want me to apologize? If she had any shame, she wouldn't have seduced someone else's fiancé. Her face was pale. Miss Chiao, how can you say that? Sebastian and I are just friends. Friends. I had someone investigate last night. The apartment she was living in was bought by him. He wrapped his arms around the sobbing woman, his face dark as he yelled at me. Harper, why are you being so unreasonable? Do you still want to get married? I looked at the furious man before me. In the past, when his family had mocked me and others had laughed at my lack of background, he had been the one to stand up for me. Countless nights, we had slept together, our fingers intertwined, whispering our love for each other. But in just a few short years, love had faded, and he had forgotten his old love for a new one. Sebastian, you're asking the wrong person. The question is not whether I want to get married, but who you want to marry. My words were like a clap of thunder. I didn't miss the guilt in his eyes. She gasped, feigning shock. Miss Chiao, you've really misunderstood him. When I was abroad, he told me more than once that he was going to marry you. Just yesterday, he told me you were getting married. Her words, on the surface, were to defend him. But in reality, she was telling everyone that even when she was abroad, they were in contact, and that they had been together just yesterday. I have to say, she was very good at manipulating him. He had been looking guilty, but after her words, he immediately started to blame me again. Why are you explaining so much to her? Let her think what she wants. She's a nobody in this city. Without me, where can she go? Yes. From the first day we were together, he knew my father was dead and my mother was unknown, that I had been raised by my grandmother. In this city, besides him, I had no one. That night, I went back to Olivia's place. He never contacted me. Instead, Amelia added me on WeChat. I knew that on the surface, she was adding me to explain, but in reality, she was showing off. Showing off that she and him were in Hong Kong together. I wasn't surprised that he had taken her with him. I knew his personality well after all these years. When he treasures you, he will do anything for you. But when he gets tired of you, you are nothing. I remember the day he gained control of the company. He had booked the most famous restaurant in the city, personally decorated it with my favorite champagne roses, and then proposed. He had knelt on one knee, holding a bouquet of flowers, and had sincerely asked me to marry him, promising to never betray me. That day, I had felt like the most important person in his world. But in just a few short months, that sincerity had vanished. Her WeChat feed for the past 3 months was almost all about him. She had posted pictures of all the clothes, bags, shoes, and jewelry he had bought her, including the ring he had custom-made for her. I love this ring that symbolizes true love. After all this time, I've realized he has always loved me. We will cherish each other and walk this path together. The post was full of red hearts, and his comment was the most prominent. We will always love you. In Hong Kong, he had taken her to all sorts of events, introducing her to many people and even his relatives. A privilege I had never had. When people had asked if she was his fiancée, he hadn't denied it. When a friend from Hong Kong had sent me a video, I saw him looking down at the shy woman, and anyone would have thought they were a golden couple. And the look in his eyes, I hadn't seen that look in a long time. So, feelings can change. Love can disappear. It's all a matter of choice. She thought that by sending me these things, I would go and make a scene. But what she didn't know was that the moment he left, I had called a moving company to take all my things from the past few years, especially all the expensive jewelry he had bought me. I wasn't going to be a doormat and leave with nothing. Pride is nice, but money is more real. All these years, the youth I had wasted on him, this was not nearly enough. The night before I left, he had unexpectedly called me, but the moment I answered, I knew who was behind it. The background was noisy, clearly a private party. A moment later, I heard someone mention my name. Sebastian. Amelia is our real sister-in-law, right? You haven't been using Harper as a substitute all these years, have you? Still, you got a good deal. Harper's got a great body, like a ripe peach. You didn't lose out after all these years. By the way, she's been with you for so long. You can't just let her go, can you? Why don't you just sweet-talk her a bit? Don't let her run off before you get back. The men's lewd jokes and the women's giggles were grating. But the most disgusting thing was his voice. She's an orphan. Without me, she's nothing. A few sweet words is all it takes. I've been ignoring her for a few days to remind her of her place. With my status now, the only reason in marrying her is because she's been with me for so long. So that's who he really was. He only knew that my father was dead and I was raised by my grandmother. But he never knew that my mother was Eleanor, the CEO of the corporation, a famous figure in the capital. My parents had divorced when I was 7 because they were always apart. After the divorce, she had left me with my grandmother and had gone to the capital to make a name for herself. Because I had been abandoned, our relationship had always been strained. All these years, she had tried to make it up to me. She had even planned for me to either continue my studies abroad or join her company after graduation. But because of him, I had refused, and I had insisted on staying by his side. At that time, he had just joined the company. He was surrounded by enemies, not favored by his parents, and he had an older brother to compete with. I felt sorry for him. I didn't want him to fight alone. So, even though I had majored in foreign languages, I had started to study business management and finance, step by step, to help him. My mother, for my sake, had even arranged for her company to offer him a long-term partnership, which had been his biggest victory at the company. But I had never told him any of this. I had planned to tell him on our wedding day, as a surprise. But now, there was no need. The moment he had chosen her and trampled on my dignity, it was all over. But I am a person who repays kindness with kindness and an eye for an eye. He said that without him, I was nothing. Then I would like to see what he would be without me. The day I flew from Haicheng to the capital, I threw my old SIM card down the drain and deleted all traces of him from my life. To me now, he was as disgusting as a maggot in the sewer. When Olivia called, she said he had contacted her and asked her to pass on a message. Come back when you're done with your tantrum. Don't be too dramatic, or you'll face the consequences. I found it laughable. What was he? A brand of sanitary pads. Was I only allowed to use him? Olivia didn't even bother with him. She just told him, scumbag and his bitch. Get lost. But I never thought we would meet so soon. That day, my mother asked me to come to the company to familiarize myself with the environment before officially starting work next week. But as I walked through the main entrance, I saw him and his entourage, and her by his side. Putting aside everything else, he was undeniably handsome. At 6 feet tall, his well-tailored suit pants hugged his long legs, a sight that would make any woman swoon. A handsome man and a beautiful woman always attract attention. He had been listening to her talk, but the moment he looked up and saw me, his face darkened. He strode over, pulled me aside, and hissed, "Who told you I was here? Do you have any sense of propriety? Why do you have to follow me everywhere? I have a very important meeting right now. If you want to make a scene, do it at home. Don't embarrass me here. You think that by moving out, blocking my number, and deleting my WeChat, I would beg you to come back. I'm telling you now, if you don't apologize to her, you can forget about getting married." His words were like 1,000 daggers. All these years, how had I not seen how arrogant he was? Sebastian, you, I was about to retort, but she, who had just walked over, interrupted me. Miss Chiao, if you knew how to be considerate, you wouldn't have been fighting with him these past few days. The company has lost several partners recently, and he's been so stressed he can't sleep at night. If you can't help him, at least don't drag him down. As a friend, we all feel for him. As his future wife, how can you be so thoughtless? She smiled, her expression one of condescending superiority. But when she turned to him, her face was full of a loving concern. I broke free from his grasp and snorted at her. Who do you think you are, to lecture me? At my words, she looked at him with a hurt expression. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I've been watching you so stressed about the company, and I just feel so bad for you. That's why I spoke out of turn and offended Miss Chiao. I have to say, her acting was so good. She could have been a movie star. She was getting better and better at manipulating him. Sure enough, seeing her so submissive, his cold eyes were now filled with a desire to skin me alive. And her simple words had not only turned his anger towards me, but also subtly flaunted the fact that they had been together all this time. Harper, you apologize to her right now. She's not wrong. If you cared about me, you wouldn't be throwing a tantrum and seeking attention all the time. I just kissed her as a joke. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? I've been faithful to you all these years. All my friends have a new woman on their arm every other day, and she's just a friend. I haven't been messing around behind your back. You're being ungrateful. You're an orphan. You have no family, no status. You should be grateful that I even looked at you. So that's what he had thought of me all these years. The man who had once sworn he would only ever be with me was now completely dead. He used to hate it when David and the others were disrespectful to women. He would even insist that they only bring their wives or girlfriends to gatherings, or just have a drink and chat. The Sebastian of that time was truly admirable. But now, love had soured. Once the foundation is gone, no matter how high the tower of trust. It can collapse in an instant. I pointed at her and sneered at him. Sebastian, you say she's just a friend. What kind of friend do you buy a house for? Stay over at her place all night, and rush to the hospital to kiss and hold her when she's sick. And in Hong Kong, when people asked if she was your fiancé, you didn't even deny it. And now you're telling me she's just a friend. Don't you think you're ridiculous? At my words, his face paled, but he quickly recovered. She was having some trouble after coming back from abroad. I just bought her a house so she would have a safe place to stay. I only stayed over because she was sick. I was just taking care of her. And in Hong Kong, I didn't deny it because I was angry at you for hitting someone and refusing to apologize. I was just trying to get back at you. I looked at him, his face a mask of sincerity, and sneered. Is that so? Then what about that ring that symbolizes true love? At my words, she covered her mouth and chuckled. Miss Chiao, it seems you've really misunderstood. I just asked him to order that ring for me in his name. That's right. I just ordered it for her. Our wedding rings are a different style. Remember. So you're just making a fuss over something so small, being so petty and unreasonable. Now that it's all cleared up, you apologize to her. If she doesn't forgive you, then our wedding is postponed. At his words, she looked at me with a triumphant smile, like a victorious general. I stared at her face and suddenly had an idea. I turned to him and said, I'll apologize, but you have to promise to get our marriage license tomorrow. As long as we're legally married, I'll believe that you and her are just friends. Okay. At my words, he hesitated and glanced at her. But when he saw the expectant look on my face, he finally nodded. At his action, her triumphant smile vanished. She probably never thought that he would still agree to marry me. She deliberately looked at her wrist and said with feigned surprise, Sebastian, we're going to be late for our meeting with Mr. You. Miss Chiao, why don't you come with us? The future of the company depends on you and him. She was deliberately saying these things. I knew what she was up to. She just wanted to provoke him and have him send me away. If I left, it would make her seem more important. Sure enough, the next moment, he frowned. Don't be ridiculous. We're going to a business meeting. It's not appropriate for her to be there. Her face instantly went pale. She bit her lip and explained. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I just thought, since Miss Chiao came all this way, it would be cruel to send her back alone. I have to say, she was a master manipulator. Sure enough, her apology made him feel sorry for her. He quickly explained that he hadn't meant to be harsh. The scene ended with her wiping away a tear and smiling through her sobs. Watching them, I felt sick. I interrupted them. I want to go too. He frowned. No, you go home. We're going to a business meeting. Since he wouldn't let me, I would insist. Anyway, I was going upstairs. If she could play the part of a White Lotus, so could I. I put on a tearful expression and asked, why can she go? But I can't. Sebastian, have you forgotten how many deals I've helped you close? And now you're saying I can't. Perhaps remembering the past, he felt a pang of guilt. She is my secretary now. In other words, it was her job. Because of my insistence, he finally relented. We went into the conference room. I found a seat in the corner. When my mother came in, he stood up to shake her hand, but she ignored him. She didn't even acknowledge him, just went and sat down opposite the others. The other people from his company all looked at each other, and then at me. But I was hiding in the corner, laughing to myself. I hear you've been trying to meet with me for several days. Is there something you need? Killing with kindness. Playing dumb. At her question, his disgruntled expression immediately vanished. Mr. You. We received a notice from your company a few days ago, unilaterally canceling our partnership. I wanted to ask for an explanation. After all, our two companies have been working well together for years, without any problems. To suddenly cancel the partnership is very strange. And according to the contract, if one party cancels before the contract expires, they will have to pay a large penalty. So we're here today to clear up this misunderstanding. Since our cooperation is mutually beneficial, why not continue? My mother said nothing, just nodded to her secretary. The secretary handed him a file. Mr. Xie, this is the legal document prepared by our company regarding the penalty for canceling the contract. If you have no problem with it, we can sign and proceed now. He frowned. clearly not understanding. After the secretary finished, my mother stood up to leave. He quickly stood up and blocked her way, asking for a reason. Even she couldn't help but say, "Mr. You, if your company has any concerns and needs us to make adjustments, we can sit down and discuss it." My mother stopped, looked up at her, and her sharp gaze made her take a step back. He instinctively put a hand on her waist to support her. Seeing this, she sneered at them, then said something cryptic. "Mr. Xie, you're quite something." Then she suddenly turned and looked at me. "Are you not coming?" At her words, everyone looked at me, confused, especially him and her, their eyes wide with surprise. As I walked past him, he suddenly grabbed my hand, his face full of confusion. "Harper, you know Mr. You." I smiled. "Yes, we do." His current, humble demeanor was so similar to how he had been years ago, when he was just starting out. "How do you know each other? Why have you never mentioned it? In that case, can you talk to her? Ask her to continue the partnership." I pulled my hand away and said softly, "No." Then I leaned in and whispered, "Because I am very happy to cancel the partnership." As expected, everyone now knew that I was the daughter of the CEO of the U Corporation. Many people who I barely knew suddenly started to pop up. Those who had once looked down on me or spoken ill of me all came to apologize. I had gone from being a tragic heroine to a powerful figure. I don't know how he did it, but he got my number. He would call and text me from a different number every day. "Harper, you should have told me about your relationship with Mr. You sooner. If you're angry, you can hit me or yell at me. I swear I won't fight back. Just please answer my call so I can explain. We're getting married in 2 weeks. Didn't we agree to get our license today? My parents want to visit your aunt and discuss the wedding." "Harper, why did you cancel the wedding without telling me? All our friends know we're getting married. Please come back. We can go back to how we were. If you don't like Amelia, I'll stay away from her. I just want you." Looking at his messages, I don't know how he had the nerve to send them when he was with her. Why didn't he think of our many years together? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I might not have believed it. But she was too impatient. Since she had added me on WeChat, she would send me intimate photos of them every so often, and even some private recordings and videos. And his words, demeaning me. "I've been with her for so long. I'm tired of her. She has the good life she has today all because of me. We've grown so far apart. She's not good enough for me anymore." I never thought I would hear such words from him, nor did I ever think that he had always had someone else in his heart. And the only reason she had sent me these things was to make me give up. But she never thought that I would just leave, and that I had the power to destroy his company. Because the U Corporation had canceled its partnership with him, many other partners had followed suit, even at the cost of paying a penalty. After all, the influence of the U Corporation was far greater than his. In the past, his company had been stable, backed by a powerful ally. Now, in less than a month, it was on the verge of collapse. Not to mention the other members of his family, who were just waiting for him to fail. So when he came to see me, I was not surprised. But this time, he was alone. She was not with him. It had only been a week since our last meeting, but he had lost a lot of weight. His former confidence was gone. He looked exhausted. I took a spoon and stirred my coffee, not in a hurry to speak. "Harper, don't call me that. It's disgusting." I interrupted him, the moment I knew he was with her. He had lost the right to call me that. "If you have something to say, say it. I have something to do later." I said the same words to him that he had said to me in the lobby of the U Corporation, with the same impatient look in my eyes. "You've been angry and not answering my calls, so I had to come and find you." I frowned at him. "Sebastian, I know why you're here. I can tell you right now. I can't help you." At my words, he leaned forward and tried to take my hand. When I pulled away, his hand froze, his eyes full of a heartbreaking pain, as if he were the one who had been hurt. "Harper, I'm here today to beg for your forgiveness. Can we go back to how we were? I'm sorry. I didn't know you had helped me so much. If I had known about your relationship with the U Corporation, I never would have." I tapped the table and smiled. "Never would have what? Never would have cheated on me with her. Or never would have told your good friends that I was an orphan and that without you, I would be nothing. Or would you have told your family sooner, so they would have accepted me?" I said these words, word for word, staring into his eyes. And I didn't miss the way his face grew uglier and uglier. but I had underestimated his thick skin. In just a few seconds, his expression had changed again. Harper, I admit I said some things in anger. I apologize. I know you're angry that I've been spending time with her. You can hit me or yell at me, but we've been together for 8 years. It was my first mistake. Can you forgive me? I've never had a physical relationship with her. I swear. It's true. Don't worry. I'll break things off with her completely. And we can go back to how we were. He was still playing word games with me. He probably didn't know that she had already sent me the evidence. I looked at his sincere expression and found it amusing. Men, no matter what, always put their interests first. If she knew he had thrown her under the bus so quickly, would she cough up blood? Thank God for being kind to me. 8 years. So what? To see a person for who they really are in 8 years is a bargain compared to a lifetime. Besides, it's not like I can't live without a man. Sebastian, let me say this one last time. We are broken up. As for your relationship with her, do you want me to send you some photos or videos, so you can see if it's you? If you dare to say it's not you, then I'll send them out and let all your relatives and friends in Haiching see for themselves. A few days later, the news of him and her was all over the circle. There was even a video of him hitting her. In the video, the handprint on her face was clearly visible. He had clearly not held back, because he had discovered that she had been married twice abroad, and was not even divorced from her second husband. Her foreign husband had come looking for her. This man had mental problems. He would beat her half to death every time he had an episode. She had barely managed to escape and had deliberately approached him when she returned, looking for a protector. When he found out he had been deceived, he had lost his temper and hit her. But the bigger bombshell was that she was pregnant. She wanted to have the baby, but he didn't acknowledge it. These two things had made his family a laughingstock. Because of him, his company was being ridiculed in the circle. His own family and other shareholders had all turned against him. They had asked him to step down. But how could he just give up? The two sides had completely fallen out. But in the end, the old guard won. A few days later, the company issued a statement that he was no longer the CEO and had been sent to a remote branch office. Overnight, he had fallen from grace. His former glory was gone. And her, seeing him like this, had immediately hooked up with his company's biggest rival. The funny thing was, the child was even the other man's. He had been completely played. She had started planning her exit as soon as his company started to lose partners. She had not only deliberately extracted information from him, but had also secretly leaked many of his company's important secrets to the other side. He had found all this out later, after he lost his power. His so-called friends had all abandoned him. Even David, who was once his closest ally, had cut off all ties with him. And now, to find out that she had been plotting against him all along. How could he not go crazy? The last I heard of him, he was in prison. He had hit her with his car while driving drunk. She had not only lost the baby but also had to have her uterus removed. Most importantly, she had injured her spine and would never walk again. Her family had sued his family. His parents were willing to pay, but her family had refused to settle and had hired a lawyer. They wanted him to stay in prison for a long time. And, because of him, his company was being attacked by its rival. To protect themselves, the other members of his family had publicly disowned him. Olivia later asked me again if I was happy to see him like this. My answer was that I was neither happy nor concerned. I just found it a little sad. The past is the past. I only care about the present and the future. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a short time. Time can heal all wounds. And it can also change everything. When you love, love with all your heart. When you leave, do not look back. We all have our own paths to walk.